Hello, this is Evan here from the Trade Risk on Wednesday, August 11th, 2021. We are intraday right now, and this is our weekly swing trade ideas video where we bring you stocks based on a variety of discretionary, technical, and quantitative criteria, all of which we're going to break down for you in just a moment. And as always, these videos are sponsored by our partners over at Investors Business Daily. Check them out in the description of this video below. We curate all of our long ideas from their stock lists, and you can get access to that stock list with a link in the description of this video. So we're going to jump into, let's see, the first name here, first ticker is FIVE. This is Five Below. This comes from sort of our discretionary bucket. So when I say discretionary, what this essentially means is this is me just paging through our stock lists, IBD's lists, our own TR150 watch list, sort of pulling out ideas that look interesting from classic sort of TA perspective here. Five Below certainly had my attention. Now, this is a weekly time frame. This is why it looks good to me here, is because, you know, we've got this beautiful uptrend that has been in place for, you know, on this time frame basically forever. But if we zoom in more specifically here, you can see that this is a name that has gone absolutely nowhere for all of 2021. It basically topped out around 199, 200, and just found that as to be the ceiling, traded as low as 180, and lo and behold, this week we got our breakout. So we're seeing a 10% move this week, and this is coming from a 8-month range. Now, if we go down to a daily chart, this is a chart that I don't think many traders are going to want to jump into right here, and sort of rightfully so. This has covered a lot of ground in short order, and this speaks to two things. Again, this gets into strategies, which this video really isn't about specific strategy. It's just an idea generation, but you know, time frame obviously matters here. If you're a position trader, if you're a trend follower that is looking to potentially hold this stock over the next 12 months or 24 months, this entry is probably fine for you, right? If you're, you know, buying this at 224 and we think this can go to, you know, 300 plus, then, you know, whether you buy it at 224, 218 doesn't really matter. But if you are a shorter term swing trader and you're looking to, you know, play some momentum for the next couple of days or week, then obviously whether you buy it at 225 or 215 is a much bigger consideration. So keep that in mind. Again, add it to the watch list. Nice breakout here, long developed range. You can get some legs there on a longer time frame. Next up, I wanted to talk about Tesla. So Tesla here, we haven't talked about in a while, and I posted this chart, I believe, on the streams yesterday. And what's interesting about Tesla here is, of course, now this has been one of those stocks that had this monster kind of move up over the past, you know, frankly, years, but certainly towards the end of 2020 into the beginning of this year, topped out around 875, and then it's been in correction mode since about February of this year. But most recently now, you can see it's still pretty messy in here, but it's got its act together a bit, finding some support, finding some dip buyers in the 600s and below. And most recently here, you've got this nice kind of push over the July high here. So you've got this push over into the 700s and this nice little range that is developing here. Very tight action after a thrust higher. And this is a good spot, especially as we zoom back here and we take a look at all of these prior levels in this general zone here. You can see that there's some prior supply in here, and this is really what we're going to be waiting to see if the stock can start to tackle and get above this 720, 730s area to start making moves back up to the old highs. So Tesla here, nice and tight. It's coiled. Risk is pretty defined, kind of flagging out. So I'm paying attention to this on a very short-term momentum breakout setup, and that would be over, you know, 730 or so. If it can't break out, if it can't start getting daily closes and strength over 725, then there's no setup, there's no trigger, and I would not be interested in this particular name. Now, I want to jump into some technical stock scans. So these are fully rules-based stock scans that are on our website. They are TC2000 scans. So if you are a user of TC2000, if you're a subscriber, you can use our scans here to find stocks just like these that we're about to look through. The first here is McAfee Corp, MCFE, and we can see here that this is kind of exploding on some heavier volume, lots of action recently. I actually don't know what the specific catalyst news event is on this. If you do know, certainly leave a comment below, help us all out, kind of understand what's going on here. Don't think it was earnings, although I guess it could have been. So MCFE here, you can see launching higher today. We've got this gap and go, and we've had a lot of volatility recently. Take a look at the last 4 days of trading. Look how big these bars are compared to, everything back here. Look how tight these bars were in June. Look how expansive and big these bars are now and over the past 5 days. Tells you certainly that there are transactions happening, that the market is paying attention to this particular stock. And this is hitting our breakout, our fresh breakout scan. So this is a scan that is essentially looking for stocks that are making new highs, that haven't made new highs over the past couple of days, and are making significant moves. I'd say MCFE puts in pretty much all of those buckets. This is also hitting our high volume, strong close scan, and I believe a 52-week high scan. So this is really just kind of triggering across all our momentum scans. And for obvious reasons here, looking at all-time high closing prices, if it can hang in here today. So keep an eye on MCFE, good volume, good range, and some pretty good urgency. Next up is CMI. So CMI here is more so on the weekly chart is what I spotted this one on. And this one here, certainly, very, very different look than something like a McAfee. This has been pulling back, and this is hitting our engulfing bar scan. But notice we're looking at an engulfing bar on a weekly time frame. So we're getting the bigger, broader time frame here, which generally speaking carries a little more significance. What I like specifically about this pattern is one, you've got a pretty good reset here off of the highs. It traded down about 16-17% pullback from 52-week highs down to recent lows. And I also like the fact that it is getting back above sort of this pivot area right in here. So the lows from 618. So you can see we kind of made lows down into here. We had this weak rally. We traded back, undercut it, and now we're launching back above it. So this gives me a little more confidence, just again, getting specific on perhaps stop losses and where I'd be wrong in this trade. And so CMI here, get a nice defined risk. Bullish engulfing bar, longer term trend is up. So CMI here hitting that engulfing weekly bar scan. Last but not least, on the technical side is UNH. So UNH here, let's go down to a daily chart, is hitting our ultimate consolidation scan. This scan is looking for stocks that are choppy, that have gone nowhere, and that could potentially be great breakout candidates. I think UNH fits this. Healthcare has been strong recently. If I zoom out here, you've got this big broad uptrend, so we're essentially consolidating just under highs. It still looks like a bit of a mess right here, so it's obviously not ready, and we don't have any confirmation, but you got this nice tighter kind of 1 month consolidation that's going on here that I think looks interesting. And then of course you could kind of frame this out even wider and look at the past 4 or 5 months, and you really have most of the action taking place between, call it 400 and 420. You had this kind of brief move down here, but we didn't stay down there too long. So you've got kind of this dual consolidation that you can pay attention to here. Both breakouts, both ceilings are up around 425. And again, trend is at your back. So that's our ultimate consolidation scan. Last but not least, I want to leave you with one quantitative trade criteria, one quantitative trade setup that we purchased today. And as I look at this bar here, you can see a pretty good fade. So this is O'Reilly Automotive. It's a stock we bought long this morning. So we are pretty much at our entry point here. $600.47, I believe, was the exact entry that we got on this particular trade. So full disclosure, we are long this idea. We're looking for higher prices, and certainly the fade here is not ideal from the move all the way up to about 609 back down to 601. We're going to give it some room though, not going to freak out over the single day action on this particular trade just yet. So we're going to hang in here. We're going to look for higher prices. It's a short-term swing trading system. So again, not going to stay in this too long, but going to give it at least a few days worth of action and see if we cannot get a move back up into maybe the 610s or so for this particular name. So ORLY, it's a name we own. We are long and looking for higher prices. So that's it. That's what I have for this week's trade ideas video. Again, do your homework on all of these stocks. Make them your own idea. Do your homework and due diligence. Make sure they fit your plan, time frame, risk, strategy, all that good stuff. as I always like to try and remember. And I'd always like to hear your feedback on what you're thinking, what you're looking at, which of these ideas looks best to you. Leave a comment below. Love to hear those and see what everybody's up to. Hopefully you're doing well out there. Thanks so much for tuning in every Wednesday. Trade ideas like this. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel or follow us at thetraderisk.com. We'll see you back here on Friday for the long form market analysis video.